Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true, you're a pal and a confidant. And if you threw a party and invited everyone that you knew, you would see the biggest gift would be from me, and the card attached would say, thank you for being a friend. We are the ones who don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they could send us to the morgue. Yeah, we are the ones who are scared to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. I know. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No. Get off this fucking neck. Oh, that makes you know. He can't fucking breathe. Oh, that makes you know. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joe, your home for all things combat sports and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joe channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. If it's Thursday, this show only happens every 4 years. Happy Leap Day, and welcome to the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. Today, as like most days, I've got a glorious panel here with me to break down all the shit talking and shenanigans, get into all the fight announcements and fuckery that is shaking down the MMA pipeline since we saw you wonderful folks last. Before we get into all that fun, though, first and foremost, gentlemen, how the fuck are you doing over there?
We're here. It's fucking leap year on a leap year day. What are the fucking odds of that? Better
I'll
than the
take it.
odds of there being a fucking good guard this weekend.
That's kind of how I feel. I'm happy we got a fucking bonus day on the year, but man, it falls great too. Podcast on that bonus day. But we're talking about shit fights and a shit card, man. We're gonna try to make the most of it, right?
That's right. That's what we do. That's what we do. So, before we get into all the fun and fuckery, first and foremost, as we'd like to start off with around here, a little bit of news and recent events, fight confirmations, rumors that have been confirmed, things of that nature relevant for you fine folks to know about. Uh, this week, as has been the case quite a bit lately, we start with a little bit tying back to last week because there was so much that happened last weekend. So, just a couple things I want to touch on real quick. First and foremost, it doesn't happen very often, but I actually felt bad for Patricio Pitbull. That dude has done everything that he has supposed to be fucking laid out in front of him. Everything he's supposed to do, he has done. No matter what hurdle they put in front of him, he jumps it with a smile on his fucking face and just says, "Who's next?" And they had him lined up for that PFL versus Bellator champs versus champs card, and then Jesus Pinedo had to withdraw. And then last minute, they had him matched up with Gabriel Braga, who I thought was not going to fight to begin with because of the circumstances with his father we talked about a couple weeks ago. Then on fight day, we find out that that fight is canceled. And then they were trying to find a literal last minute replacement to get him on the card, and it just turned out not to be the case. But we did get word this week that they are going to give him some form of consolation. They have put him on the what the fuck is it called? The Bellator 302, the Belfast, Ireland. That's what it is. The Belfast, Ireland card. He will be on there with a couple of other fights added with the Corey Anderson fighting for the prospective light heavyweight title, on that card as well. After having the Sinead O'Connor versus what's her fuck fight fall off a couple weeks ago, that card needed some help anyway. So Pitbull getting to defend his belt against Jeremy Kennedy on that card. Good for them. Works out good. And Pitbull's had a lot of shit fall out in front of him lately, obviously. So nice to see him finally catch one because Jeremy Kennedy is a fairly reliable fighter. Pretty good dude. Going to be an interesting match. Still think Pitbull takes it, but he could use a softball at this point. He's been through some fucking shit lately. That being said, in terms of the UFC last weekend, oh my goodness, was there fuckery afoot. First and foremost, of all the fighters on the card, there were only two who missed weight, and that was to the surprise of no one, Chairez and Lacerda. Both of them in their rematch missed weight for the fucking fight. So right out the gate, you knew there was fuckery afoot. Excuse me. Then we get to fight day itself. Despite plenty of press, literally videos being shown on the broadcast of him walking around backstage when he entered the arena earlier, it was announced as the fight was about to happen that Raul Rosas Jr., and I quote, had been battling an illness for 2 days and at the last moment was unable to compete. So the fight with Ricky Tercios was officially scrapped from the card as those boys were supposed to walk Saturday night. Dana came out in the post-fight press conference, said that, Rosas Jr. was sick, but it didn't seem like anything too life-threatening. So assuming everything went well, that they were just going to bump that fight to this week to UFC Vegas 87 and let them fight at the catch weight so that they didn't have to cut weight again. Turns out they never actually offered that to Ricky Tercios. And then when they did offer it to Ricky Tercios, they offered it to him at the same exact rate that he had just made weight and was ready to go for last week. And he said, no, this is a last minute fight change, different weight class. We should be getting compensated more for this. Least of all me, because I showed up and was ready to fucking fight. So that fight, unfortunately, this Saturday is now actually off as well. So there is no word officially whether they're going to try and remake that fight or just let those gentlemen go their separate ways. But it started Saturday and it has literally snowballed all the way into this week. Rosas Jr. just fucked it all up.
Oh yeah, he totally fucked it. He's made himself look like a huge bitch. He pussied out of it twice. That's how I feel. Because Tercios like tweeted out that the UFC would have let them fight at 145. And that's what he agreed to. He's like, yeah, I'll fight him this weekend, 145. But Rosas said no again. And then him, like, nobody's heard from Rosas at all. Like,
yeah, he's been awful
but
quiet
he
this
looked
last week.
fine. The walk through the stadium before his fight looked completely fine. You just get the nervous jitters, you know. Know you're probably going to get your ass beat. You didn't want to take it. Like, Tercios isn't even that good of a fighter. This is such a horrible look. Unless something's really horribly wrong with him, which you'd think somebody be coming out like his family, you know, him being young, his parents would come out or something and say, oh, you know, this is what's going on with him. Looks like he's just pussying out.
It definitely looks like a bitch.
And me, I'm of the mindset I don't give a fuck. We all won because that fight got canceled and we didn't have to watch it.
Well, I feel bad for Ricky though, even if he's not.
Yeah,
I don't feel bad for Ricky either.
I feel like he probably got his show money because he showed up and made weight at bare minimum. So there is that, and the UFC definitely owes him a fucking favor at this point. Not to mention, it's 2024. If you don't know not to eat the ice when you go down to TJ, I can't feel too bad for you when Montezuma pays a fucking visit to your hotel room. Sorry, pal. Information's been out there for decades. That being said, excuse me. To the surprise of virtually no one, we got confirmation this week, despite everyone having our fingers and fucking toes crossed. Henry Cejudo is not going to retire, despite making it very public that if he lost last weekend, he was going to retire. He said, and I quote, I can't go out like that. Even though he absolutely could have and should have, and they specifically were not going to give him the microphone to do that because that performance didn't warrant in-ring time to hang your fucking gloves up a second time, even though he looked like he was reaching for him. So he was, in the moment, prepared to hang him up, but then when they apparently weren't going to give him the microphone and spotlight to do so, he decided to change his mind, and when he went back and realized that no one gave a fuck if he actually was going to retire or not, he decided that he's going to try it one more time because he has unfinished business.
Slash. Nobody cares still.
Yeah. At this point, the only thing that I care about in terms of Henry Cejudo's future is how low down the ladder is he going to fall before he finally actually does call it quits. Because at this point, realistically, there are some very, very highly touted prospects moving into the 135-pound division. And the 125-pound division isn't light on killers either. So no matter where he wants to go, there's badasses lined up around the block waiting to take his head off his fucking shoulders and steal any bit of legacy thunder he might still fucking have. So at this point, if he's going to be that dumb and he's going to insist on trying to inject himself into the conversation forcibly, I'm only interested so long as it's going to be for us to be able to see who the lowest ranked person that beats the shit out of Triple C is before he actually walks the fuck away. That being said, there was an interesting turnabout this week. After claiming the belt over Alexander Volkanovski, Ilia Topuria went back to Spain and got a rare honor in getting a special kickoff live during the Real Madrid game last week. Apparently that game and that moment was viewed by something like 4.3 million people throughout the stadium and then internationally being watched in the replay. So that is absolutely cool for Ilya. On the other hand, Luke Thomas, though I love and respect that motherfucker, tripped over his own dick very publicly this week in posting the clip of that and following it up with a statement to the tune of soccer now being the second most popular sport in the United States to people under 20. I love you, Luke, but I and multiple other people asked you to cite your source and you didn't. You got pissy about it and you took your ball and you went home. I, on the other hand, actually did the legwork and did the research, searched multiple different accredited sources, including ESPN, multiple different pediatric journals looking at specifically under 18. Not a single credible source, current, going all the way back to pre-pandemic, has soccer being rated in the United States any higher than fourth, taking in a measly 14% of viewership and participation combined in the under 20 category. So good for Ilya. Yes, soccer, not football. Soccer is a very popular sport internationally, and he will get views for that. No, soccer is still not the American top sport, and no, Ilya is still not that popular here. So nice try, Luke. Nice try, Ilya, but go not quite this time, buddy. That being said, we got a holy shit shakeup announcement for this weekend's UFC Vegas 87 here. I had to pull the page up because there was so much shit going on just in this one announcement. Okay, so to start it off, Brandon Marote, I believe is how he pronounced his name, was officially forced out of his fight with Muhammad Yahya. That fight has officially been pulled from the card altogether, so we're down one fight to start with. Then on top of that, Josephine Knudsen had to be pulled from her fight with Juliana Palastri. That fight has been pulled from the card, but Palastri is not getting pulled from the event because Shauna Bannon had to get pulled out of her fight with Stephanie Luciano because of visa issues in 2 weeks. In 3 weeks on the Rose versus Amanda March 23rd Vegas card. So Palastri, since she's being pulled off this weekend, is just stepping in 3 weeks for the injured Shauna Bannon, and she's going to fight on that Rose card instead. As if that wasn't enough, originally scheduled was Ludovic Klein versus Joel Alvarez, which wasn't the greatest fight in the world, but still was prospectively interesting. That's now off the table because Joel Alvarez, turns out last minute, has visa issues and can't get into the United States. So now Contender Series veteran AJ Cunningham is stepping in on, I believe, 3 days' notice to take on Ludovic Klein to keep that fight on Saturday's card. Shakeups, fucking shakeups. So that, Vegas 87 shakeup. That being said, next month, month and a half from now, since it's still technically February for another couple hours, April 27th in Los Angeles for the very first California-based promotion, based event, Knucklemania 4 from BKFC will be taking place in Los Angeles, being headlined by Mike Perry versus Thiago Alves. Interesting fight. Again, very much like UFC 300, not the fight that Feldman had been building up for Mike Perry in recent weeks. This absolutely feels like a last minute shit. Everything else fell through. Who can we get to fight Mike Perry? Because we already told everybody he's going to be the next guy up. So there is that. That being said, this Knucklemania 4 card does have some interesting shit taking place on it, aside from the Mike Perry main event. In the co-main event, we're going to get Todd Duffy versus Ben Rothwell, which is an actual very interesting fucking heavyweight fight. And there's apparently been bad blood there for 15 fucking years that they're going to settle in the fucking squared circle with no gloves on. So I am here for that. That could be pretty fucking interesting. The big part about it, though, the one that I'm actually genuinely very interested to see how it plays out, was the announcement that Lorenzo Hunt has officially relinquished the cruiserweight and light heavyweight belt and is officially full-time moving up to heavyweight and is taking on Mick Terrell on the the Knucklemania 4 card to put himself in line to challenge for the heavyweight belt coming up prospectively later on this summer. I don't agree that Hunt should have had either one of those two fucking belts to begin with, but dropping both of them to go full on at heavyweight, I do fucking respect. I don't think he's going to do as well at heavyweight as he thinks he's going to, but I do respect that he's willing to give up both of the other belts and focus solely on going to heavyweight the proper way. Mick Terrell is also no fucking walk in the park for a first fucking fight in the heavyweight class as well, but depending on how he does there, will give us a better idea of how he's going to look going forward, seeing as how this is what he says he's going to commit fully to. So tip of the cap for making it official and doing it the proper way, but I think he might have been off a little more than his ass can chew. These ain't all tomatoes when you go up to the big boys, so we'll see how Lorenzo holds out. That being said, last one I have got for the news segment here, still officially unconfirmed because they haven't made the announcement with the event stadium yet, but as of right now, the UFC is targeting St. Louis, Missouri for the May 11th comeback from Rio card, the Rio de Janeiro Hangover card, if you will. No fights officially announced for that card yet, and they have not officially announced if it will be in St. Louis. My guess is still contract negotiations, but they are looking at potentially coming back to Missouri in about a year's time, which would be very interesting considering the UFC has a track record of only coming to Missouri once every 4 to 5 years at best. So coming from one side of the state to the other year after year would definitely give them options here. It's going to be interesting to see if they officially announce it, what ticket prices are going to be, and then who's actually going to end up being on that card. That being said, that's all I have got for news and recent events this week. Either one of you boys have anything I might have missed?
I did see something, and I don't know if it's solid yet, but for UFC 306, it's supposedly going to be at the Madison Square Garden Sphere in Las Vegas, the MSG Sphere.
Interesting. So
which is going to be kind of weird because the inside of that place is set up for concerts and not 360-degree concerts. So they're not going to be able to get people all the way around the cage if they were to set it up there. But he said he wanted to do that, and apparently 306 is going to be there. So that's quite a few months out from now.
Is that the Mexican Independence Day card, or are they targeting to do the Sphere twice?
I think that's the Mexican Independence Day card.
Okay.
Which would make sense because that's like, what, 6 months from now?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I think I heard
recently about
Cejudo called out Brandon Moreno to fight on that card. So he was American Mexican
again
versus Mexican, yeah, on Mexican Independence Day.
Oh, fuck.
The only piece of fucking news that I had that I thought was fucking cool is happening the end of next month here. Well, it's almost this month, right? We're the last day of February. We got that bonus day. March 30th, Nate Landwehr versus Pat Sabatini.
Yeah.
That's gonna be fun.
Match too.
It's nothing. It's not the greatest fight in the world, but we love Nate the Train here, and that's gonna be a fucking fun featherweight fight. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm down for that one for damn sure. Well, in that case, real quick, I will run down the fight menu for you fine folks for this weekend, because it is a fairly short menu this weekend here. Kicking off bright and fucking early in just a couple of hours, 7:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 a.m. Central Time tomorrow morning, 1 FC 166, Rainer de Ritter versus Anatoly Malikin 2. That's going to be a spectacular fucking card, even though it is stupid early in the goddamn morning. Again, with 1FC, mixed card all the way down, 5 MMA bouts, 1 all submission grappling bout, and then 3 Muay Thai and 4-ounce MMA gloves. I fucking love those fights so goddamn much. Another one, because it is ONE FC and it is a pay-per-view, this is one that most casuals will recognize at least a couple names on that card. The hardcores are probably going to know pretty much everybody on there. Either way, damn good card to watch, in my opinion, if you need some combat with your breakfast. Now, coming along to Saturday, kicking off at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central Standard, Octagon 54 from over in the Czech Republic, another one of the UFC's European feeder organizations. This is another one that the average casual might recognize a name or two, but the hardcores are going to know about half of this card, even though they are pretty much all Europeans on there. Still kicking Saturday off for lunch combat sports. And then, as we are here to glorify later on in the show, this weekend's UFC Vegas 87 from the Apex, originally scheduled to be the UFC Saudi Arabia card, then canceled, but for some fucking reason, the UFC has decided to keep it on the same day at the same time. So the prelims this Saturday will be kicking off at 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oof, awfully early for a card of this magnitude, but it is a card nonetheless. So, that being said, that will bring us to the point where if you are a hardcore, as previously mentioned, like some of us are, you tend to develop a habit of knowing what you like to watch, when it comes on, how to watch it, where you go to see it, and you inadvertently develop a set of blinders, as it were. You start to lose the forest for the trees. And luckily for us here on the podcast, we have ourselves a bona fide young person that ever so delicately just fingers the pulse of the MMA world and keeps us abreast of all the names that are going to be names before they actually are names, in a little segment that we call Slows, Cans, and Contenders.
Appreciate you, brother. So we'll start out with the cans this week. There's definitely a good fucking bit of them. I'm sure you boys will be able to give us other options, but don't want to keep people waiting this week. Everything is fairly trashy. You know, you could throw a lot in the trash this week. But Tyson Pedro is an obvious can. I feel like the UFC setting this fight up for Vitor Petrino to just get another easy fucking win under his belt because the kid's coming to the UFC getting nothing but finishes. So they're trying to give him another easy one. Tyson Pedro's had decent moments, but he's been back and forth at this point. I just don't think he's really, solid. You can easily throw him in the trash. Claudio Ribeiro's the same way. This guy had a lot of knockouts, a lot of finishes, came off the Contender Series. Has just pretty much looked like shit since he got in the UFC. He's got knocked out twice. He does have a win, but facing Christian Leroy Duncan, I think, dude's going to fuck him up. Throw him in the trash. And then a fight as a whole, Eric Anders versus Jamie Pickett. That's the literal worst fight on the entire card, and two of the biggest cans in the UFC. Still don't understand why they're on the roster at this point. Yeah. That's what they do. They throw these Apex cards together and they give you shit fights like Eric Anders versus fucking Jamie Pickett. As for the contenders, there is some bright side to this shit. Some young guns I do feel like will give us some nice finishes to be like, okay, wasn't the worst shit in the world. Complete waste of my fucking time. Right? I said Christian Leroy Duncan. Feel like he's gonna finish Claudio Ribeiro. The middleweights normally go out there and you fucking get after it. You can get some middleweighty fights, right? And some like Chris Courtesy kind of fights is a good example, but I think Duncan's going to go out there and style on Ribeiro. Ribeiro's got that knockout power, so maybe he gets that good shot. So I'm sure we're going to see a finish either way. But I'm siding with Duncan. I think that kid's got some pretty good fucking potential. I did have a fight, in the bantamweight division. Vinicius Oliveira versus Giannis Gamori, but Gamori had to pull out of that fight. So it's just me throwing lock dog out there. Vinicius Oliveira had a fucking really highlight knockout, kind of Sean O'Malley like last year on the Contender Series. He's 17 finishes of his 19 wins, 15 of them by knockout. Dude's all about getting knockouts and finishes. Seems a lot better than Sean O'Malley. Will promote an actual, knockout power guy in the bantamweight division to see how he does in his debut in the UFC. And you got Muhammad Mokaev. This is obvious. He's been a contender for a while. He goes out there and beats the shit out of Alex Perez. Even Alexander Pantoja has said publicly it makes sense for him to be next. Like he is getting the title shot in May in Rio de Janeiro. He goes out there, gets this finish this weekend. Boom. Call for it. Bam. Title shot. He's 23 years old. Flyweight division's a fun fucking time. It's going to be exciting. And Steve Ursig as well. He's another fun fucking flyweight fighting Matt Schnell. It's a good name. Matt Schnell's always been back and forth, but the vet in the UFC, Steve Ursig's looked good in his first couple of fights. See how he continues to do. Love to hear what you boys got, though, for your cans and contenders on the card.
I'm going to put it like this. As a whole, there is a reason why this fight isn't where it was supposed to be. This card. What does that tell you? That this entire card is one giant fucking can. When an entire country tells you, no, we're not going to allow you to put this shit in our country. No. There's a reason why it got fucking removed. It could have been in Abu Dhabi, but no. Here we fucking are. Because, oh, well, we're going to try to stack a great 300 card. And to 300's credit, it's not bad. But it is not the holy shit, oh my God moment that you were hoping for. There's not that moment on that card. They would have taken that card, though. But you say, oh, we're gonna do this one for you guys. We're gonna do a real special card. Giant douche, turd sandwich, take your fucking vote. The whole fucking card, absolute can. I really don't even care if I fucking miss it. Knowing that I'm gonna miss quite a bit of it because I've got a lot of shit going on this weekend, don't fucking care. If there's anything worth watching on this fucking card, somebody's gonna have to call me. Because, to be honest, as a whole, I'll read the fucking cliff notes and I'll still pass the test on this one. Don't care. I'm not going to give a fucking can and contender because I think it's an entire card full of nothing but fucking shite.
I'm surprised you didn't even say you're excited to see Mokaev get the win. You really don't give a fuck this week. I respect it, brother. I really do.
No, I agree. This card is going to kick off around the time that I normally wake up naturally, and I am not setting any kind of alarm to wake up any kind of early for anything in this. If I miss early fights, I miss early fucking fights. So be it. This card is not good enough for me to warrant adjusting my sleep schedule for. That being said, there are some cans and contenders I do have pulled out of this card here. Ironically, all of them fights as a whole here. So in terms of contenders, I've actually got two fights that I'm calling both fights full-on contender fights. The first one, you mentioned earlier, Vinicius Oliveira versus Bernardo Sopage. Those dudes literally completely separated and fucking restructured their fight schedules within the last 3 days to take that fight, to keep their fights on this card. Hats off to both those gentlemen for taking a fucking short notice fight. That has a little bit of interest for me. Same thing with the other one here in Ludovic Klein and AJ Cunningham. I'm not particular fans of either one of them, but the fact that both of those gentlemen were willing to throw their entire fucking fight preparation out the window for a 3-day short notice step up, tip my fucking cap to all those gentlemen involved. Now, on the other side of that, My can for this week is also an entire fight. Ayman Zahabi versus Habib Basharat. Both of them are overhyped, under-tested prospects. We have heard nothing but what both of them are capable of, but yet to actually see glimpses of that true potential from either one. And instead of giving either one of them, who both potentially have prospect status and could make a little bit of hype with a good win off somebody, they paired the two of them up and stuck them in the middle of the fucking prelims in a hangover card of hangover cards. This fight doesn't make sense stylistically. This fight doesn't make sense placement wise on the card. And this fight doesn't make sense for either of these two as individual fighters. I don't give a flying fuck about how or where this fight ends up. I just can't.
The only thing I care about with that fight, I hope Ayman Zahabi crushes Basharat's balls like he crushed Victor Henry's. You don't ever fucking destroy a man's bells, man. It's just not right. It's the worst thing in the world. And I honestly thought he might have been faking for a little minute too, but no, when we gotta have your coach carry you out the octagon
When Josh Barnett
and
tweets
go to
from
the hospital.
Yeah, Josh Barnett ain't the type to lie about injuries, least of all other people's injuries, specifically in that particular area. So when Josh Barnett is willing to fucking testify for you that man's gonads look like grapefruits and that he was in fucking pain, I don't doubt it.
And then I think Basharat, after the fact, tried to talk shit about how he didn't kick him in the balls, and the dude's lying too. So I hope karma comes back on him. That's the only thing I care about that fight. I definitely can't disagree with you boys that for the most part everything is pretty trashy. But like always, that's the only thing I ever try to do with my little segment is bring some light to some of these young kids making their debuts and shit. We might see them get a finish, make an exciting debut. But like Golf T said, he doesn't need to watch the motherfucking card for that. He can literally go on Instagram after those young kids get their little UFC debut knockout, and he just sees the clip and he's like, okay, maybe I look at that kid later on. Yep, and that's fine. All respect.
My hat's off to you for even trying to light a candle in what I'm going to call a hurricane shitstorm, because that's what that looks like this week.
Yeah, the only kid I'm seriously excited, fucking Lock Dog, Vinici Silvera kid. He just laid a motherfucker out on the Contender Series. That's what I want to see. This motherfucking fight. Fuck Sean O'Malley. Meaner brought that up. I think it was this week. Sean O'Malley's bitch ass not ever really getting a true motherfucking knockout, but he, touts himself as this motherfucking knockout king. I want to see Rinya Nakamura get his ass up there. There's so many fucking young prospects in that bantamweight division that are gonna lay that motherfucker out, whether he's the champion in a couple weeks or not. He keeps on fighting. He's getting fucked up, man. I appreciate you boys. Kept it fucking honest, kept it real. Cards fucking shit, but if you're a hardcore fan, you get fights. So.
Much appreciated, sir. And yeah, to be fair, I don't like Sean O'Malley, never have. I'm very open about that. But he brought it on his fucking self this week because he came out and said that he thinks that he can knock out Ryan Garcia in boxing, because Ryan Garcia said that he doesn't believe that Sean O'Malley is a very good champion, and that with I believe he said 5 to 6 months of training, of true MMA training, he could make his appearance in the UFC and beat Sean O'Malley. To which Sean O'Malley said, I would come to boxing and knock out Ryan Garcia. Sean O'Malley, I confirmed this multiple times, multiple sources for multiple different people. Sean O'Malley has a total of 0 knockouts in his entire professional and amateur career combined. He has several TKOs. He has some walk-off drops. He has 0 knockouts in the sport that he is supposed to be good at. Where he thinks he's going to go to someone else's sport where they've spent their entire life and then magically knock them out, I don't fucking know. Fuck O'Malley. That being said, that'll bring us to the part of the show that does require its own individual disclaimer. Tapology.com does not in any way, shape, or form sponsor, support, or endorse the I'm No Joe podcast. Yet. That being said, Tapology.com does offer you the option to go onto their site, create a free account, and make fantasy-style MMA picks. They also let you make groups on that site, so we did. We call it I'm No Bookie, all one word, or Group 965, however you need to search it. The group is up there. It is open to the public. You are welcomed and encouraged to make yourself an account, join the group, and let us know who the fuck you are, and then put your picks head-to-head against ours in a little segment we call Tapology with TJ.
Welcome to the shit show this week, everybody. And by that, I mean I'm only going to give you 3 odds after we talk about last week's showing there at UFC Fight Night Moreno Royval 2, which, to be honest, was a pretty good fucking night of fights overall. I was fairly pleased with it. Not a bad card in Mexico City. And the best part is nobody threw any fucking beer bottles this time. Even when the Mexicans got beat, there was
I was
no.
going to say, there was a fight in the crowd. There were punches thrown, but no beer bottles this time.
Exactly. And to be honest, they need to sign that motherfucker. 2 knockouts, picked up his hat, and was fucking done. Like, as soon as the job was done, he was over it. I was like, that's the kind of fighters we like. He knew to leave them down once they were down. He didn't follow up. If you didn't catch that, go back online because there's plenty of footage of that. And it was a thing of beauty. Bop, bop, fucking sleeping. That one dude, he looked like he had a rough fucking day, by the way. Fucking shirt all torn off, fucking arm sleeve missing on one side. You know, that dude had a rough night. Not exactly what you go to the UFC for, not to fight, but to watch fights. Anyhow, to go back here and cover last week here, kudos to everyone in our fucking group that we know who you are. Everyone was above the 500 mark and well above, which is fucking fantastic. The downside to that means, even though you did well, somebody's got to shit the bed. Unfortunately, this week, it was Vindog. But he was well above the 500 mark, so I can't shit on him too much. I mean, yeah, technically you tripped over your dick, but in this case, you tripped over it because it was too fucking big. That's all there was to it. It wasn't that you stretched it out to trip over it. Just everybody had a big dick this week. Now, top spot taken over by Christian out there this week. So he came back after a rough week last week and got his shit back together, but he barely squeaked by Donna. Like, just a fucking couple of points. The only thing that was different was a couple of fucking the perfect pick, a couple of perfect picks. That was the only difference in that made the difference in points there. Otherwise, he very well could have been fucking second place, and Donna could have been fucking running that top spot again. She must be.
my Brian Ortega pick, man. That's what fucking saved my ass. I went with it. Everybody else fucking doubted him. I went with the underdog. Called it 3rd fucking round submission. Suck on that. At least I get to ride this high for a week.
I'm not even mad about that. To be honest, I picked against him. I did. But I was rooting for him because, well, you know. But that first fucking round, I was like, God damn it, I hate when I'm fucking right like this. But he managed to turn it around, and good on him. I'm glad to see him back. Although it is kind of strange to see him go from having no girlfriend to being married inside of fucking a year and a half. Like,
Yeah, and then that's the other reason that he fucking had to win, right? He got his ass beat in round 1, and then he remembered it. He's like, oh shit, that bitch is out in the fucking crowd. I can't be losing this goddamn fight.
When he rolled his ankle before the fight even started, I was like, oh, that's bad juju. And the first round looked like it was going to be bad juju, but the man pulled it together. Fucking heart of a fighter. That's all that was. He went out there fucking hurt and still, because he definitely took his fucking lumps that night to get the win.
The way I look at him at this point, he's the featherweight version of Nate Diaz. Like, he's the pretty boy Nate Diaz. You know, he's great at fucking jujitsu. He's not amazing on the feet. He's got decent boxing. He's just tough as fucking hell.
Yeah.
That's how he gets his fucking wins, man. He's tough as fucking nails. You can't put him away, and then he's gonna slip a fucking slick sub on you, just like Nate.
Yep, so good on him. Now, with all that being said, so the kudos to Christian. Unfortunately, Vindog taking the other fucking road, less traveled there. Brings us into covering our fucking Grand Prix right now. So with the Grand Prix that we have currently, Vindog with a rough fucking week this week, taking up that bottom spot. Just barely above him is Donald River Tour there. Meter and me sitting in the middle spot with only a slim 55-point margin between us. And just north of me, Christian, even with the win, sitting at 17-10. And Donna regains the top spot in the fucking goddamn thing here, sitting at 1,800 points overall. Almost a full 100 above Christian, almost 200 above me. Almost fucking, she's 500 points ahead of Vinny right now. Almost. Well, 450, excuse me. But we've still got a couple weeks left here before UFC 300, so shit can change in an instant. Now, if you're not aware, you can get in on our next Grand Prix. Not this one, but our upcoming one that starts after UFC 300. All you have to do is go over to Tapology, join our group. I'm no bookie. Let us know who you are. We will get you added. And if you can't find I'm no bookie, you can sure as hell type in 965 and find our group. That's all you got to do. Let us know who you are, and we'll get you added into the Grand Prix. So that way we can talk shit at the end, because this is real good bragging rights here. It's not just you won 1 week. It's you had the best score overall. So you did great or very well every time. Now we just got to pray Donna falls off the goddamn horse sometime between now and 300, because otherwise, if she wins again this week, it's going to be a tough fucking horse to catch. That's all I'm saying. Now, with all that being said, we're going to move on to odds this week. And like I said earlier, I'm only going to do a couple because there's, for the most part, according to BetMGM, coin flips across the board to include the fucking main, the co-main, which is not really a co-main at all. But anyhow, coin flips. There are 3 fights that are worth mentioning because they are wide fucking odds. And we're going to start with the dead obvious one in Umar Nurmagomedov and Beksat Almakhan. They have Umar sitting as a minus 1,400 favorite over Beksat in a plus 775 underdog. Now, again, this is all bet MGM odds. So depending on where you're looking, your odds may vary a little bit by 100, 200, whatever. But those are pretty fucking wide margins for, well, let's just say it as it is. A fucking Nurmagomedov. That's all they're doing right now, is they're peddling to that. Now, next one closest in odds as far as wide odds, and actually we're gonna throw a 4th one in here after I do these other 2, because I just saw one other one that I didn't catch initially. We're gonna talk about Ludwig Klein and AJ Cunningham. Like I said earlier, Cunningham coming on super short notice here. This is to be expected. They're giving Ludwig Klein a minus 1,000 even favorite over a plus 625 in AJ Cunningham coming in on short notice. Are the odds a little crazy? Yeah, but also Ludwig's fairly fucking new to the UFC too, so getting a guy off the Contender Series coming in here short notice, that's not saying much that it can't happen. This might be one of those ones where you go bet $100 on fucking AJ Cunningham, you'll win 625 if he wins the fight. Just saying, that's pretty good fucking turnaround there. Now, last one we're gonna talk about is old dick kick himself, Javid Bashrat, and fucking Ayman Zahabi. We got Bashrat, old dick kick king himself, sitting at a minus 900 favorite. Over Zahabi sitting as a plus 575 underdog. That's because Vegas knows he's going to kick him in the dick at least once and will alter the course of the fight. Yes, it will cost him a point, but he's going to win because, well, the hobby will continue to fight, and that's just how that's going to play out. So I wouldn't go fucking betting against the Dick Kick King, unfortunately, because we know what's going to happen. And then he's going to talk shit afterwards of he didn't actually kick anybody in the dick. But, that was just a lie. Oh, the last one I am going to talk about here, because like I said, I must have missed this in this card just being absolute shit. And that is going to be the premier prelim fight in Eric Anders and Jamie Pickett. For some odd reason, they have your boy, Eric Anders, sitting at a minus 500 favorite over a plus 360 Jamie Pickett. I don't think Eric Anders is that good of a fighter. Neither is Jamie Pickett, but it's not enough to warrant that wide of odds, in my opinion. Another one that I think is well worth fucking making the crazy bet on. You only win 360 there if you bet 100 on Jamie Pickett, but I think it's worth it. That's just my thoughts. In fact, what's really funny about this is there's no fucking person in their right mind who thinks that the odds are that fucking wide on that fight. Not at all. Oh, and I'm gonna add one more in here because just I think it's worthwhile because Steve Ursig and Matt Schnell. Steve Ursig has been he's been solid, but he hasn't finished anybody in the UFC. He's won all of his fights by decision. Matt Schnell has been hit or miss. Sometimes he's hot, sometimes he's fucking cold. They've got Ursig coming as a minus 400 favorite over a plus 300 in Matt Schnell. So that's one to watch out for. That might be one of those ones you want to throw on a fucking parlay where you're picking 2-3 fights and praying to God they all hit. Because that might help your payout on those. But, for the most part, the rest of the fights on the card, all coin flips. But choose wisely. I'm not telling you to bet money, but there are some crazy ones out there that you can pick against and chances of winning. I say bet against the Dick Kick King, but that's just me.
Much appreciated. Yeah, it's all fucking crazy out there. There's no other way to look at it. It's the odds are just as crazy as the fucking fights. That being said, like we mentioned, there's not a whole lot to really get too terribly excited about. So that is all we have got for this particular episode. But remember, when we wrap things up around here, that is not the end of things, because tomorrow morning and pretty much every Friday morning after we wrap things up over here, that gentleman, wait, no, he's over here now. That gentleman over there and his other half kick off their podcast, the Slow Bake and Contemplate podcast, to be had over on Spreaker.com. Links to that podcast, as well as their social media and their channel over on the I'm No Joe Discord server, all down below.
Appreciate you, brother. The fucking fun never fucking stops. Once you get around to the best day of the week, fucking hump day, you gotta show the brother Golf T Vape some love. Tune into his YouTube channel around 9:30 every Wednesday night for the Foggy Fairway. Get some fucking vape recipes, chill, have a good time, show the brother some love. All his links and everything should be down in the description as well. Make sure you check it out.
Thank you, sir. Now, for those of you who don't know, I don't know how many times I'm going to have to tell you, but Meter actually does more than one thing. In fact, he does many things. So if you go down below, there's a couple of links. Linktree / the Meter does many things. Linktree / I'm No Joe. Click on any one of those, and they will take you to all of the multitudinous things that the Meter does do. Do yourself a favor. Go spend some time there. Watch some episodes, some past ones, maybe some ones you forgot about and just want to replay. It's a good time.
Much appreciated, sir. Thank you very much. Like we mentioned, though, that is all we've got for this particular episode. So if you like what we get up to around here, please give us the thumbs up. Make sure you are subscribed and your notifications are turned on, whatever platform you're consuming us on. We do the show pretty much every Thursday. There are fights to talk about live over on youtube.com/I'm No Joe. Feel free to subscribe so you don't miss an episode live over there. If you're not able to, or you just don't want to, I get it. We have mirrors. The week after we go live, anchor.fm/I'm No Joe. The podcast goes up in the all audio format on your podcast consumption platform of choice. Google, Apple, Spotify, everywhere. We're all across the board. If you like what we get up to, Best way to help out around here, patreon.com/I'mNoJoe. If you want to do that, hang on to that dollar though, because as of right now, longtime supporter in front of the show, Ed Cap, has finished his battle with cancer, and his family is waiting to put his final expenses, or excuse me, his final arrangements to rest. The GoFundMe is so goddamn close. If you've got $1, go give it to them. Help us take care of Ed's final wishes. Next month, you can come back and give that $1 to us. Get your name on the end of every broadcast as a thank you. That being said, if you don't like what we get up to around here, first and foremost, what the fuck are you still doing this deep into a podcast you didn't enjoy? Give us a thumbs down and then go fuck yourself. We won't even dispute it. But that's all we've got for this particular episode. So until next time, boys and girls, remember, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything, unless them finally fixing fucking leap days.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.